Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Voodoo Salad, but my friends just call me Tibi. I've been a freelance illustrator since 2019 and I would like to invite you to join me to explore the depths of a sketchbook that I finished in 2018. I have a tendency to not to finish sketchbooks and most of the pages are just filled with junk that I wouldn't be able to talk much about. This is the only one that I finished, but I would like to change that habit as I've mentioned that in my first video. Despite the title, I like to call this drawing book instead of sketchbook because most of the drawings inside are finished or half finished. I call them half finished because I've colored them in Photoshop after doing the line art in the sketchbook. I'm going to show those in the video as well. Let's dive in. The first drawing is a practice piece with the dry brush technique. The goal is to let the brush pick up only a small amount of ink, so while you're moving it around on the paper, you're able to create these very intricate textures and you'll be able to do shading without diluting the ink. And I think that it's a cool technique and I really like to experiment with it 6-7 years ago. This one is not my most successful piece by the way, but it is what it is. This drawing was inspired by a pine cone that I've picked up at the 2018 art camp that we've attended. I wanted to draw something surrealistic by giving the cone a humanoid shape with the suit and the eyes. I've made this with Indian ink, a brush and the zebra G-nib. I haven't used these tools much since then, but I really liked this technique back then. The G-nib is tedious to work with, but it's really great if you want to draw detailed pieces while having control over the line weight. This next piece was built on the same idea but with a fish. This is probably one of the first occasions when I tried cross-hatching. I still love this technique and I use it somewhat frequently. At this point I realized that I was going to have a hard time with the dip nib, so I switched to Sakura Micron fine liners to create this. This pair was yet another idea that was built around the same concept as the last two, just putting subjects into context to achieve a surrealistic look. A lot of stippling has been done here, but I think that I did most of the bigger chunks of black parts with Indian ink and a brush, and then added the small stippling parts, the dots, with the microns later. This is another experiment with the dry brush technique, but this time I've added these small details with the G-nib. I think that this one has turned out better than the first one in showing in this sketchbook. Now we have reached one of my favorites from this sketchbook. This particular drawing was based on the idea that I got back in 2009. I just drew a huge weird head with a crow coming out of it and singing something. It was super cartoonish and I used huge bold lines for the contours, so it was very different compared to this. It's really sad that I lost that version, but I drew this to commemorate it, so I guess we're good. This one is much more poetic looking though. This is another favorite. I've had this idea of a huge statue sitting on top of a mountain with a secret opening on its back. What makes it super personal for me is the wallpaper with the cloud pattern. I have a lot of happy sad memories from a more trying period of my life when I see this pattern, but I don't want to discuss that at the moment. It gives me a sense of shelter. A black Teletubby-like creature. I'm not even sure if this needs further explanation. I drew most parts on the train when I was traveling 3 hours every day for work. I guess that this was my peak performance at the time. I like this cat face though. Another goon that I drew during my long commutes. I wanted to use this as a t-shirt design, but I've ditched the idea later. By the way, the bigger parts are filled with the dry brush technique with Indian ink as well. And the other smaller intricate details were added with the micron fine liners.
Garfield.
Just another face painted with Indian ink and gouache. I still like this one. I can imagine it printed on something. Now I remember this quite well. I was looking at ukiyo-e paintings of Japanese monsters and I decided to build one into one of my doodles. I remember doing this after work and then coloring it the next day. It kind of blew up if I remember correctly, so I was super happy about it. Now, I can't remember the story of this one too well, but I remember that I like to draw small details with pens, so I think that I just wanted to, just get into drawing hair and stuff around this. No memories about this one, except for the part when I was sitting at the kitchen table and drawing it. A painter friend at the time said that I should try and paint this, because that would be cool, but I wasn't ready. And I still think that I have plenty of skill issues when it comes to any kind of painting technique. Just a bunch of things. This has turned out quite trippy. I just really got into drawing faces surrounded by plants at the time, and I was particularly happy about this one, especially after I finished the coloring process. I would change quite a few things if I would redo this, of course, but it's still fun for me to look at this. We were watching the movie Wild at Heart by David Lynch, and I thought that it would be a nice idea to draw my father a t-shirt design with a dove with the title of the movie, because he's really into fowling. I decided to buy something else afterward because I was too late with ordering this, but I don't mind after all. Well, my memory is a bit hazy about this one, but I was most definitely overworked, tired, and depressed as a consequence. I was trying to keep up with the daily schedule after working 8 to 8 because we were doing a lot of overtime, and this was probably the best I could come up with. This is an early form of my character, Ginger Shot. He always looked goofy, but this is straight up horrifying. I'm gonna show you some other versions of this guy. I think that I'm going to give him a canonical form in the future to give him a more recognizable appearance. A lot of nonsense here. Now we have arrived to this guy. I was really eager to make some stickers because we just got a new printer at the time, and I wanted this guy to be one of my first test subjects. I'm not sure if I went through with it, but I'm sure that I've printed him a few times in the next few months. I drew this koala as part of my collaboration with HexYeah. I was looking at a bunch of viral videos about koalas in their natural habitat screaming, fighting, and spreading diseases, so I decided to draw this really gnarly looking guy. Don't get me wrong, I like koalas. They're a cute bunch. I got inspired by the animated series of Hungarian folk tales, so I drew this typical folk hero with the big mustache and floating hair, and added a bulge in the eyeball with a wonky scolopendra. This was my first DIY Draw This in Your Style challenge on Instagram, and it was a huge success compared to what I was expecting. I drew 2 smaller pieces on this page to keep up with my daily drawing schedule. I think that I just ran out of pages in my smaller sketchbook, so I decided to use this one instead. Oof, another one. I'm not sure what I wanted to tell with this one, but I know that I didn't want to draw a face for the character. I remember that I got a lot of comments that it's the creature from Stranger Things. The last page, it's another sticker design that I did after looking at a bunch of images of yokais. This one was printed and was part of my first sticker pack. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. I hope that you have enjoyed this sketchbook tour as much as I did. I really like to rediscover this book of drawings again. See you in the next one. Goodbye!